Well, I'm Grace Payne, moved to Hong Kong in the end of 1966, and I started teaching in St Paul's, I think at Easter time in 1967, and I left St Paul's again in, I think, the beginning of 1982. So one could work that out. I think it's something like 15 years, in which time I taught chemistry and biology and occasionally some English, and I had various different jobs in the school as well. Well behaved, polite, very variable in their English. Some of them I didn't understand at all. They probably didn't understand me either. Hugely challenging. After all, we had different ways of life, we had different expectations. I well remember an example of this, getting a little bit carried away with a sixth form class and sort of going off in a tangent to explain something to them, and one of them, who was very polite, who I remember quite well, put his hand up and said, "Mrs. Payne, this is all very interesting, but is it in the syllabus?" So it summed up the fact the only thing that mattered really was passing exams in those days, which for anyone coming from, certainly from the UK, was a shock, because exams were important to us, but they weren't the prime importance, which they were there. I don't think it took me very long to understand that, though. That became clear very quickly. The determination to pass examinations, I'll never forget that the emphasis on examinations was something I'd never been used to at all. I hope it's not as bad as it was, because I always felt that education meant more than just passing exams. There was really a different understanding of the word education, I think. So never having lived in a completely different culture, just coming was a culture shock, and living there and working there was an experience which most of my family and friends would never understand and would have never had the chance to do. So we were very, very fortunate in so many ways, and we enjoyed Hong Kong. We being my husband and I, because he was busy all the time. He was had a very busy job, and he did all sorts of other things around his work. I think we both felt very, very fortunate in having had the chance to go to Hong Kong, because the experiences are something you have to be there and live there to know just how different it was from life in the UK. Never imagined that we would stay for so long. I think we had originally ideas of going to Hong Kong for maybe 2 or 4 years and then coming back again. But of course it didn't work like that, because we both got very, very quickly involved in busy jobs which we enjoyed. I always say when we lived in Hong Kong, we worked hard and we played hard. We had a good time outside our work. We sailed the whole time, all the year round. We had a boat, first of all, at the Royal Hong Kong Yacht Club, and then we became founder members of the Aberdeen Boat Club, and we sailed from Aberdeen. I think my memorable stories wouldn't be so much in classrooms as swimming or sports days when we did something that perhaps wasn't directly connected to classrooms, which I don't think we did it very often, but it was quite relaxing when we did meet under different conditions. Well, I suppose the one I remember best of all was badminton, because I was already quite a keen badminton player when I came to Hong Kong. I started playing immediately. I played sometimes with the boys and sometimes with the staff, and I do remember that one of the boys who was a good player, and I entered for the Hong Kong Open Badminton Championships, and I think after we played the first round, it was discovered that I hadn't been resident in Hong Kong for long enough to be able to take part, so we couldn't continue, which was a pity, because we were rather pleased with ourselves. But I guess by now the standard has changed a lot. I think this was very early on,
Right.
perhaps when they were running those competitions. I don't know whether it impacted on academic side or whether it was just a very, very good compromise, well, not a compromise, but an alternative activity, because there was such an emphasis on academic achievement that it was very good to have something that one didn't have to pass an exam to do, as perhaps music. Well, I suppose in there the standard was high, but it wasn't the same pressure on the individual, I think. How much we enjoyed sports days. The swimming gala, yes. I do remember taking part in the swimming gala once, in a staff race. But as I wasn't very good at doing crawl, I only really swam breaststroke, and it's a bit slow, so I didn't do very well. But I do remember swimming. But I do remember a day when we went to the New Territories and for a picnic. Because I wasn't a form teacher, I was assigned to one of the classes to go with them, and I suppose they had their form teacher with them as well. And after we'd had our lunch, we got a bit worried because we lost all the boys, but I think they all got home safely. They all disappeared, and they weren't supposed to. We were supposed to usher them home again, I think. But they got home. We didn't lose any.
Okay.
Summertime in the laboratories, trying to teach practical chemistry or science, terribly hot. We had shortened days then. We started a little earlier in the morning. We had, I think, no break during the day. Each of the lessons was shortened as well, so I think we finished at 1:30. But in the height of summer, it was really very hard in labs trying to teach with high humidity. That I do remember as being so uncomfortable, horrible. That's memorable, but not that one would wish to repeat. Well, first of all, congratulating them on such a long period. After all, it was the first school in Hong Kong, wasn't it? And, all the very best wishes for the future, which is, some of us would say, we wonder where it's going, but we hope it all goes all the right way. So good luck to St Paul's College.